Hello everybody, my name is Joel C Gamer JR. Welcome back to my live on YouTube, guys. How you guys doing today, guys? We got some new scary video. It's by I'm assuming Slap Pam or something like that. So let's go, guys. We got a new scary video. So I hope you enjoy. Get some popcorn, get some food, whatever, or get some drink, or you name it, and get ready for the show, guys, and enjoy. And also hit that like, hit the subscribe button. I'm more appreciated, guys. Lots of kids to all of you and lots of heart, and thank you for watching. Let's go into the video. So let's cook in this bitch.
An overnight carer says the woman he looks after can't walk. His hidden camera tells a different story. The man claims he works nights caring for a bedridden woman sleeping on the couch between shifts. He'd been waking to odd sounds and the persistent feeling of being watched. So he set up a camera to record the room while he slept. At some point during the night, the woman shifts into view. She's standing, not in a wheelchair, not propped up in bed, upright in the middle of the room, watching him sleep. According to the carer, she stood there for hours. He had no idea until he checked the footage the next morning. A woman who shouldn't be able to stand, standing motionless in the dark, watching the person paid to look after her for hours without making a sound. One of the more unsettling, mysterious videos to surface this year.
Specialist Christine Nook and Jeremy Hansen taking their first steps outside for their historic test flight.
The astronauts are standing right in front of the crowd, but on the camera screens, they've vanished.
It's
Some big
really
smiles.
Yeah.
I love that.
Here. Great day for us. Great day for this team.
Mission recording. Yeah, I'm recording. Let's see, yeah.
A few words from Reed. Great day for us, the team, he said.
After the Artemis 2 crew returned from their recent lunar mission, people gathered to photograph them. The footage looks ordinary at first, rows of onlookers lifting phones and cameras, snapping pictures of 4 astronauts posing a few meters away. Then watch the viewfinders. On screen after screen, the space where the astronauts should be appears empty. The crowd can clearly see them with their own eyes. The cameras apparently cannot. The reel went viral fast and the comments split hard. Some viewers called it a glitch in the Matrix. Others called NASA CGI kings and insisted the whole event was staged. A smaller group pointed out that filming someone else's screen through your own phone can do strange things to what's actually there. 4 astronauts in plain sight and the cameras can't find them. Whatever that is, it is a nothing. A little girl is standing on the path beside her toy stroller, chatting to someone who isn't there. Then the camera catches
I
this.
seen that one.
Decile que traiga el coche, decile. Le dice que traiga el coche.
It doesn't roll, it doesn't drift. It moves like someone just gave it a push.
Hell no.
No.
The clip was posted by TikTok user Nicholas Faria53 and went viral almost immediately. And with virality came the accusations. So the uploader filmed it a second time.
Acá tengo la mano, no tengo hilo. No hay control remoto. Por ningún lado, por donde lo vean.
No string.
This one's at night. The father shows there's nothing attached to the stroller. Then he walks away. His daughter says something aloud as if answering someone beside her.
That at nighttime?
Llama al coche. Llama al coche.
Then the stroller moves again. Same way, same direction. 2 clips, 2 separate nights, 2 pushes the girl never makes. And in both, she's clearly talking to someone only she can see. Among the mysterious videos circulating this week, this is the one parents keep rewatching. She took a screenshot during a FaceTime call with her boyfriend. It was only later, looking back at it, that she noticed something eerie.
What? That's a fake.
Top right corner, just above and behind him. Faint, dark, but unmistakable.
That's a fucking fake, bro. That was a fucking fake. Hold on. Oh, damn. We just started a video, and then there was a fucking fake. This is why you don't call nobody at middle of the nighttime. You know why? Because it's scary. This is scary, yeah. Why would you call somebody in middle of the night and there was a face right there? I don't know, bro. Damn, bro. Look at the video.
2 eyes, a nose, the outline of someone peering into frame. According to the poster, her boyfriend was home alone. The image was shared to Reddit's r/ghosts forum by user CertainDrink7784, where it pulled in nearly 4,000 votes and was flagged by moderators as a apparition. Skeps put it down to pareidolia, the brain's habit of finding face in random shapes, especially in low-light compression. The counter from Believers is simpler. If he was alone in the house, what exactly is that behind him? A quiet road in Honduras, a surveillance camera rolling through the night, nothing in the frame, and then this.
That was a horse? What was that?
A figure cuts across the road at speed, and then it's gone.
Yeah, that's a horse sound effect. Let's talk.
The footage was highlighted by Coast to Coast AM and spread quickly from there. Some viewers put it down to motion blur and low-resolution compression. Others see a translucent figure that doesn't belong in a physical world.
I think I have money.
Among the mysterious videos doing the rounds on paranormal forums right now, this is one of the few where even the skeptics pause the playback and lean in. Same stranger, same position, directly behind him. In 2 different countries, 2 different years, 2 of the hardest marathons in the world to qualify for.
I have some newspaper, a local newspaper, doing a story on me.
Marathon runner Chris McConnell, known online as Farmer on the Run, says it took him 10 years to get into both the Berlin and Tokyo marathons. After the races, he sent his official race photos to a journalist. The journalist wrote back with an odd question.
Hey, there's something really odd about 2 photos that you sent me. What's with that guy running behind you in both pictures?
The same runner, right behind McConnell, in Berlin and again in Tokyo.
Which guy? Which one? Those guys? Who pays for the motherfucker ad, right?
McConnell had no idea who the man was. He traced the bib number and identified him as Aristophanes Stavru.
I was thinking through how impossible this is
Here's where it gets strange. McConnell says Stavro typically runs 2 to 3 minutes slower than him, in marathon terms, about half a mile of separation. For them to be in the exact same spot at the exact same time in 2 different cities in 2 different years is already statistically brutal. Now factor in how few official photos get published from each race. Out of hundreds of thousands of shutter clicks, only a handful make it online, and the same pair of runners in the same formation ended up in both. The pair eventually connected on Instagram, found a few more odd overlaps between them, and now plan to meet intentionally at the New York Marathon in 2027.
I am blown away by this. This is like the craziest coincidence ever.
Some people have called it proof we're living in a simulation. Others just call it the kind of mysterious video that makes you stop scrolling. Either way, 2 photos, 2 continents, 1 stranger who somehow ended up in both. An influencer walks through the rusted lockers of an abandoned school in China, filming the empty corridor. The building's been derelict for years. Nothing should be moving.
I don't like that sound.
A hand slides out of one of the lockers.
Oh, a hand? Hell no. Whoa, what is that?
Pale, slow, reaching into the hallway from inside a metal box barely big enough to hold a school bag. The explorer recoils, and honestly, it's hard to blame them.
He felt it. He felt it.
The obvious explanation is a friend crouched inside, waiting for the camera to pan past. It's the kind of prank that plays perfectly on short-form video, and plenty of viewers have called it exactly that. But the lockers look too narrow, the skin looks too pale, and the movement, slow, deliberate, exploratory, doesn't quite match someone trying to scare their mate for clicks. A closed pantry door, sitting still in an empty house, 18 seconds of security footage, and then this. The door swings outward on its own. No hand on the handle, no body behind it, no pet crossing the frame. The clip was posted to the Slapped Ham subreddit by user NarrowExpression47, whose motion-activated system triggered the recording. They say this isn't the first strange thing that's happened in the house, just the first one the camera caught. No explanation, no follow-up, just a door.
Maybe a ghost is hungry. Maybe a ghost wanted some snacks. You know?
That opened by itself in a room where no one was standing.
No string can open that.
Around 11:15 on a weekday morning in Whittier, California, a foul-smelling chunk of ice smashed through the roof of a backyard unit and landed on the couch.
The man who lives in the apartment says it sounded like an explosion, but there were no electrical or gas issues, just a jagged chunk of ice that had fallen into his living room.
Homeowner Thanya Magana says her tenant Yuda Grau rang her in a panic. When Magana arrived, she found shattered pieces of dirty ice across the couch, the table, the floor. The largest chunks were still solid enough to hold, and the smell was wrong. Nothing like rain or hail.
It was like rotten bodies and shit? What is that?
Not knowing what else to do, they bagged the ice and put it in the freezer. We just said, let's stuff it in a bag, put it in the freezer, and see what it is.
Hello, welcome. That's disgusting. What is that?
He just said, let's put it in a bag and stuff it in the freezer and see what it is.
Grau had been sitting on that same couch moments before the ice came through. Magana told NBC4.
Oh my god, look at that damage. Damn. Right, that was in the room.
The first thing that comes to mind is that he probably wouldn't be here.
It went through the sucker too. It went through the outside roof, into the roof, and then
with us.
I keep replaying it and just thinking of the what if. And yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is he probably wouldn't be here with us.
Magana pulled flight tracking data and found 3 aircraft in the area at the time, 1 Southwest and 2 Delta. When NBC reached out, both
so the problem is somebody from the airline must throw something? How?
airlines denied any maintenance issues or irregularities with those flights.
I don't know why you say about the airplane passing through your house like that, but okay. Could be them. Could be they're throwing stuff.
Meteorologist David Bigger, who's also a private pilot, offered one theory. He says chunks like this can form when moisture from a leaking valve or failing heater on a plane freezes at altitude. As the aircraft descends, the ice breaks free and falls. Sometimes called blue ice, often dirty or discoloured depending on the source. The FAA said it hadn't received a report but would investigate. NASA didn't respond.
That look weird.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation.
Get this off.
So there's a foul-smelling chunk of ice sitting in a Whittier freezer with no airline willing to claim it, no agency able to explain it, and a couch with a hole in the ceiling above it. One of the more unusual, mysterious videos to come out of Southern California this year, and the evidence is still frozen, waiting.
I don't know what that is, but what is that, doll? Oh God.
Here are this week's weird and paranormal headlines. London, a British woman in her 40s, identified in medical literature only as AB, reports hearing an unfamiliar voice claiming to have worked at Great Ormond Street Hospital. The voice gives her 3 verifiable facts about the hospital she has no prior knowledge of, then instructs her to seek a brain scan. The Royal Free Hospital finds a meningioma and an inflamed brainstem. Surgery follows in 1984. The voice stops after the operation and never returns. The case, published by psychiatrist Ikechukwu Azwanye in the British Medical Journal in 1997, resurfaced this week in a live science deep dive and is now trending across Reddit and paranormal podcasts. From a voice that saved a life to a statue that nearly cost one. Torreon, Mexico, around 1 a.m. on Thursday, the 9th of April at Bosque Venustiano Carranza Park. 5 teenagers, 4 young men and a young woman, climb a decades-old concrete statue of Tontin, the Spanish language name for dopey, long rumoured by locals to be haunted or cursed. The statue collapses under their weight. 18-year-old Axel Rosas suffers a partial toe amputation. The city's public services department says it'll attempt to restore the figure. Coast to Coast AM picked up the story on the 14th, from a haunted statue in Mexico to an Australian UFO case that's just turned 60. Clayton South, Melbourne. The 6th of April 1966, during morning break, over 200 students and staff at Westall High School witness a large circular silver object manoeuvring silently over the school oval before descending into the Grange Reserve. Men in uniform arrive within the hour. Original news footage disappears. 60 years on, no government explanation has ever been issued. Australian Story aired a new documentary this month featuring surviving eyewitnesses Tanya Vassie and retired school principal Ken Stallard. In the same broadcast, John Sutcliffe, one of the last surviving members of the 1966 Mildura Hybel balloon team, directly refutes the long-standing weather balloon theory, stating no Hybel balloon was involved that day. From unexplained sightings over Melbourne to 46 unreleased ones in Washington. Washington, D.C. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, Republican of Florida and chair of the task force on the declassification of federal secrets, sets a Pentagon deadline of the 14th of April to release 46 classified UFO videos. The deadline lapses, no files delivered. Luna posts on X that the Pentagon claims her letter never reached the appropriate authorities. Her 2-word response, quote, "How convenient." On the 16th, she escalates, stating the president has authorized the release and, quote, "Whoever is trying to be cute at the Pentagon can take a hike." Newsweek, IB Times and Bro Bible all run coverage between the 15th and 17th, from a case being actively buried to one that just got solved after 34 years. Austin, Texas, the 6th of December 1991, 4 teenage girls, 13-year-old Amy Ayers, 17-year-old Eliza Thomas, and sisters Jennifer and Sarah Harbison, aged 17 and 15, murdered during a closing time attack at an I can't believe it's yogurt shop. The building then set on fire. 4 men wrongly accused, 2 convicted, all eventually cleared. In September 2025, DNA evidence identifies the killer as Robert Eugene Brashes, a serial offender who died by suicide in a Missouri police standoff in 1999. On the 19th of February, Travis County Judge Dana Blasey formally exonerates Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott, Forrest Wellborn and Morris Pierce. The case headlined the 2026 Cold Case Conference in San Antonio this week. And that's the roundup. Back to the countdown. A man camping near Big Bear Lake in California spots something odd in the sky. It isn't a plane, it isn't a helicopter, it moves in ways he can't explain.
UFO.
So he grabs a green laser pointer and aims it straight at it.
Right there. That's an alien UFO.
The moment the beam makes contact, the object reacts. Not drifting, not gliding, sharp sudden turns, the kind of instant directional changes a regular aircraft couldn't pull off.
Alien spaceship.
It looks, frame by frame, like the object is dodging. The footage was filmed in 2023 and shared widely by the Instagram account creepy.fact, and it reignited an argument that's been running for years. Is this something genuinely unknown or something ordinary moving in a way that only looks intelligent? Want to see more mysterious videos? Then hit that subscribe
Question mark.
button and turn on all channel notifications. That way you'll always know when we drop our scary video compilations.
Just ain't like me, guys. Turn out the bell, subscribe to me so you not miss a video. Just like this. Then he got his arrow bloody. What the heck? That's kind of cool.
In July 1989, a police helicopter was sweeping the slopes of Mount Asahidaki in northern Japan, searching for two hikers who'd gone missing in Daisetsuzan National Park. The mountain is the tallest on the island of Hokkaido, a dormant volcano wrapped in dense forest and steep rocky ridges. It's beautiful country. It's also the kind of country that swallows people. From the air, the pilot spotted something on the ground that didn't belong. A huge SOS sign laid out across a clearing only a few miles
Yeah, that's alien there.
from the trail. It was enormous. 19 birch trunks, some up to 5 meters long, stacked 3 logs high. The kind of signal you can't miss from the sky. And by pure luck, when the helicopter set down beside it, the two missing hikers emerged from the trees nearby. Tired, disoriented, but alive. It should have been the end of the story. Except when the rescue team asked the men about the sign, both shook their heads. Neither had built it. Neither had even seen it before the helicopter landed. That's when a different kind of search began. If the rescued hikers hadn't built the sign, someone else had, and whoever that someone was, they were almost certainly still out there on the mountain. Police returned to the area the following day and began combing the ground around the clearing. It didn't take long to find what they were looking for. Human remains scattered across the forest floor. Bones, not a body, heavily disturbed, bearing bite marks consistent with scavenging by native wildlife. Whoever this was, they'd been dead for some time. The bones were sent to Asahikawa Medical University for analysis. The initial report came back with an identification. The remains belonged to a woman. That result stopped investigators in their tracks. No women had been reported missing in the area, but a young man had been 5 years earlier, in 1984. His name was Kenji Iwamura. He'd been staying at a lodge near the mountain, hiking alone, and he'd told the lodge owner his plans for the day before heading out to climb. When he failed to check out as expected, the lodge owner rang the police. A search followed. Nothing was found. Kenji Iwamura had simply vanished into the park, and over the years the case had gone cold. The bones couldn't be his. The initial report was clear they were female, except the initial report was wrong. When the remains were
It's raining. I can hear the rain. It's raining right now.
examined a second time, the finding was corrected. The bones belonged to a male after all. Mistakes like that aren't as rare as people assume, especially with heavily weathered or incomplete remains. But in this case, the correction reopened everything. The timeline matched, the location matched, and a short distance from where the bones had been scattered, police had already found something that confirmed what they were starting to suspect. A backpack. Inside were the usual things you'd expect on an overnight hike: a towel, soap, toothpaste, the ordinary contents of someone who'd planned to come back. But tucked in among them was a small tape recorder and 4 cassette tapes. 3 of the tapes were harmless. Theme songs from popular shows of the era, the kind of thing you might record off the radio to listen to on the trail. Officers could have dismissed them as nothing, but they rewound the 4th tape and pressed play. What came through the speaker was a man's voice. He spoke for 2 minutes and 17 seconds, not screaming, not sobbing. The tone is the part that stayed with people, slow, deliberate, carefully enunciated, as if he knew exactly how important each word was going to be to whoever eventually found it. He explained where he was. He said he was on a cliff, and he couldn't move. He'd seen a helicopter earlier, he said, in the spot where he'd originally been. Now he was somewhere else. Somewhere the bamboo grass had grown too thick to push through. He asked plainly for someone to come and lift him out of it. That was it. 2 minutes, 17 seconds. A man on a cliff asking for help, knowing help wasn't coming. When police traced the geography against his words, the first problem emerged. The cassette, the backpack and the bones had all been found in the same area, within yards of the SOS sign itself. But the man on the tape described being on a cliff. And the sign wasn't on a cliff. It was in open ground below. If he'd recorded that message from the cliff, how had everything he owned ended up at the bottom? The trail Kenji Iwamura had been hiking has a known quirk. At a critical junction, there are 2 large boulders that serve as natural markers. They look nearly identical. One boulder marks the safer route, which heads back down toward town. The other marks a route that leads through thick bamboo grass and up to a steep cliff. Police believe Kenji Iwamura took the wrong boulder. Once he realised his mistake, they think he tried to pick his way back, and at some point ended up trapped on the cliff face described in the recording. The helicopter he mentioned hearing was likely part of the original 1984 search, passing over once, perhaps twice, and never returning to that particular ridge. The working theory is that after the helicopter failed to come back, he made a decision. He'd climb down himself. It was dangerous. But it was better than waiting on a cliff while the light faded and no one came. Somewhere during that descent, he fell. His remains showed fractures in one leg and in his upper body, injuries consistent with a serious fall from height. That would explain the gap between the location on the tape and the location the bones were found. It would explain why he never recorded a follow-up. It would explain a lot. But it doesn't explain the sign. 19 birch trunks up to 5 meters long, stacked 3 high. A man with a fractured leg and upper body injuries couldn't have felled those trees. He didn't have the tools. There was no hatchet in his backpack, no axe, no saw, nothing found near the remains, nothing recovered from the surrounding area. And even a healthy, uninjured hiker working alone would have struggled to drag logs that size into position and stack them 3 deep without help. On top of that, the tape itself. Kenji Iwamura never mentioned being hurt. He didn't say he'd fallen, didn't say he couldn't walk. What he said was that the bamboo was too thick. That's the detail of a man stuck, not a man broken. If he was physically capable of recording a clear, calm voice message about bamboo grass, he wasn't yet the man with the fractures. And if the fractures came later during the fall, he wasn't the man who then felled 19 trees and built a signal. So who did? The media arrived within days. Reporters swarmed the site running their own searches alongside the police. And it was a television journalist, not a detective, who made the next discovery. She noticed a hollow in the trunk of a tree near the scene. A natural cavity big enough to reach into. Police hadn't opened it. Inside she found Kenji Iwamura's driver's license, and his basketball shoes, and some jewellery, 2 cameras, a notebook, and a human skull. It had been placed deliberately, not dropped, not wedged there by animals, not carried in by scavengers, positioned inside the hollow beside the documents that identified the man it had belonged to. Police had no explanation for it. None of those items had been in the backpack. The cassette recorder and the tapes had been left inside the pack. But the license, the cameras, the shoes, the notebook, and the skull itself had been removed, carried to the tree, and stored in the cavity. There's no scenario in which an injured, dying man does that. There's no scenario in which wildlife does that either. Animals scatter remains, they don't sort through belongings, separate identifying documents, and tuck them into a tree hollow alongside a skull. Someone did. Someone found Kenji Iwamura, or what was left of him, and chose to curate a small collection of his things inside a tree, and then, apparently, said nothing to anyone. No anonymous tip, no call, no report to police, just a skull in a hollow and a license beside it, waiting to be found. When police eventually spoke to Kenji Iwamura's parents, they showed them the personal items and played them the tape. His parents recognized the belongings, the license, the shoes, the jewelry, all his. The tape was a different matter. They listened to the recording of a man calmly explaining that he was stranded on a cliff and waiting for rescue. And when it ended, they couldn't say for certain that the voice was their son's. The audio is clean. It isn't muffled or distant. It's one of the clearest pieces of evidence in the entire case. And his own parents, listening to it, weren't sure. Investigators then turned their attention back to the sign itself. Mount Asahidake isn't a gentle environment. Heavy snow falls through winter. Seasonal rain can be torrential. Ground vegetation grows fast and thick through the warmer months. An SOS sign built from stacked birch logs and left sitting in a forest clearing should have been disrupted within a season or two. Toppled by weather, overgrown by grass, reclaimed by the same forest that had reclaimed Kenji Iwamura's bones. Instead, it was pristine. No overgrowth, no collapse. The logs were still in position, stacked 3 high, clearly visible from the air. When investigators compared older aerial photographs of the area, they narrowed down when the sign had appeared. It had been built sometime between 1984 and 1987. At minimum, it was 2 years old when the helicopter spotted it, potentially 5. And in all those years, through all those winters, nothing had moved it. Officially, the Mount Asahidake case is considered solved. Kenji Iwamura's remains were recovered. His belongings were identified. The broad arc, a lone hiker takes the wrong boulder, gets stranded on a cliff, records a message, tries to climb down, falls, hangs together. The Japanese police closed the file, but closing a file isn't the same as answering its questions. Nobody knows who built the sign. Nobody knows how it survived multiple seasons on an exposed mountainside without falling apart. Nobody knows why Kenji Iwamura's skull was separated from his other remains and placed in a hollow in a tree, alongside a curated selection of his belongings, while his cassette recorder and tapes were left in the backpack where he'd packed them. Nobody knows why his own parents, hearing his voice for the last time, couldn't quite recognize it. The most straightforward explanation is that another lost hiker, someone whose name never made it into the record, stumbled onto the scene sometime between 1984 and the rescue. That person, for reasons of their own, built the sign, perhaps for themselves, perhaps for Kenji Iwamura, and collected the items into the tree before eventually walking out of the forest without ever reporting what they'd seen. It's possible. It's the sort of thing that happens in places where old customs around death, the dead, and the spirits of the mountain still run quietly under the surface of modern life. In some Japanese folk traditions, disturbing human remains without proper rites is considered deeply unlucky, and handling a skull carries particular weight. It's also possible that whoever built that sign wasn't lost at all, and that the story playing out below them wasn't meant to be found. 70-odd kilometers from the nearest city in the bamboo and birch of Hokkaido's oldest national park, someone stacked 19 enormous logs into a cry for help that no one answered for years. Someone arranged a dead man's license and shoes beside his own skull inside a tree. Someone recorded their voice onto a cassette, or sounded close enough to a man's own son that his parents couldn't tell the difference. And then they walked away and left the mountain to keep its answers. Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to...
Wow. Well, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoy. Hit that like, hit the subscribe button, and also turn on the bell so you guys don't miss a video like this, guys. You know what that means, guys. I'm about to do Twitch, so I hope you enjoy, guys. If you want to follow me on Twitch, you're more welcome. You can go on Twitch. I'm going to do right now. I'm going to do Twitch, but I hope you enjoy, guys. So this is my Twitch here. So you want to, follow me there. I'm going to do it right now, so I hope you enjoy, guys. Peace out, and love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video, guys. Bye-bye.